Guys, how's it going? It's Al. Week 7 on DraftKings is here, and I've got an NFL DFS lineup for you. We're going to take a look at a tournament style lineup, a double stack and a bring back with a correlated secondary stack, trying to find some value at running back so that we can make it all work for us here in week 7 on DraftKings. Thank you guys for being here. Let's go.
He's a legend.
NBA season in daily fantasy kicks off tomorrow night, and if you want to be the best player that you can be in daily fantasy NBA, why don't you head over to Establish the Run? They have a fantastic NBA product with Drew and Mike to give you the best NBA information and projections that you can get in the space. If you want the bundle with the player props and the DFS package, that's your best value. If you use promo code SMIZLIFE at checkout, or just use my link smizzle.tv/ETR, all lowercase letters, you get 10% off of a brand new membership at Establish the Run. If you want to be a winning daily fantasy NBA player, you want to have the best projections and best content out there, go subscribe to Establish the Run's NBA product. The Smiz Gang Listener League is posted. It is up. It is $10, 3 max, $50,000 in the prize pool, and 100% of that prize money that comes in gets paid out. It is no rake. It is the best tournament that exists on DraftKings. It is not in the lobby. You have to use the link. Smizzle.tv/links will take you there to the link tree to help find the Listener League and literally everything else I do. While you're there, click the Instagram, click the Twitch stream, click the Discord, and jump into that because you want to surround yourself with everybody. But I know you just want to get in the league, so definitely do that too. It's going to fill early. It will fill on Saturday because we made it a little bit smaller from 5,500 to 5,000. So make sure you go to smizzle.tv/links today and get in the league. Reserve your 3 spots now. If you want to do it smartly, reserve 1 a day for the next 3 days, and make sure that you go to rewards, missions, get your mission for the day, and then get those extra crowns to make it a negative rate game. Don't tell DraftKings that I told you. Let's take a look at everything that we have for week 7. First off, you know who's going to be in the lineup. Usually I start at quarterback, but we had Josh Jacobs. He's 6,500 coming off of a bye week, well rested, fresh, and ready to go, and goes up against one of the teams that we want to stream running backs against pretty much every single week. He's had fantastic volume for the last 4 weeks with a much increased usage in the passing game. This is what I most like to see, because the first couple of weeks, it was looking like, well, he's going to be one of those backs that we can't trust to at all be involved in the passing game. But like 5-6 targets a game is absolutely no joke. He has also been there inside the 5 guy. Rumors of his demise were greatly exaggerated, and Josh Jacobs should be about a $7,500 back against Houston, but he's only $6,500. They are letting teams get their running backs like 2.5 yards past the line of scrimmage before anybody even touches them. It's very polite of the Texans to allow teams to do that. So if they're going to be that polite, we might as well play the home favored 5-box running back in Josh Jacobs in this spot. Now, moving past that, let's get to the quarterbacks. There's a lot of different ways that you can go at quarterback, just like every single week. There's a lot of really high totaled games on this slate. It is an 11-game slate. We have the Bills, the Vikings, the Eagles, and the Rams all on bye week this week. So rip to all of those easy Josh Allen doubles, rip to all of those Jalen Hurts easy ones, and rip to Cooper Kupp because he is not on this slate. Even the Vikings with Justin Jefferson. So like, we're kind of in the slums at this point, trying to find stacks that we can play without like all of our favorite players and stacks and doubles that are out there. There's still plays that we can make, obviously. Some teams that kind of stand out. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have a team total of 25.5. The Cincinnati Bengals have a team total of 27.5 this week. That is an implied team total of the amount of points that Vegas expects them to play Dallas at 27.5 in the afternoon. Or sorry, yeah, well, they are the afternoon. In the afternoon, we have the Chargers have the highest one on the slate with 29.5. I'm not going to build through a Herbert stack for this video because they play on Monday night, and I didn't want to build a double with them, knowing that we might get Keenan Allen back in week 7. He is clearly one of the top quarterbacks, if not the top quarterback on this main slate. Feel free to build through him. I'm not for the purpose of this video. Lamar Jackson's good every week, and you get the biggest differentiator at tight end going with Mark Jackson. Mark Andrews. I said Mark Jackson. They're together. It's like Benifer at this point. It's Lamar Andrews and Mark Jackson. He has not thrown for multiple touchdowns since week 3. He had thrown for 3 or more weeks 1, 2, 3. We have kind of a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde situation going on with Lamar Jackson and this team right now. However, I think that a lot of people are going to be on this stack because a lot of points are expected in this game. 45.5, Ravens favored by 6.5, and it's a very easy stack to, like I said, the biggest differentiator at the tight end position this year, specifically on DraftKings. You can get rid of this game if you want to, but 28, the 3.5, you just got to kind of deal with that. They're not going to put up 25 points every week, but 25 plus points 3 times this year at the tight end spot. Kelsey has been outstanding too. They priced him up to 8K, 30 points, 24, 22. Knowing what the tight end scoring can be, and like 12, 13 points being like a ceiling day for most tight ends, getting those extra 12 to 20 points possible out of your ceiling tight end when you play Jackson or Mahomes and tie them to Andrews or Kelsey gives you that just that extra little oomph that you can get to. Justin Herbert, as I said, probably the number 1 tight end on this slate, or sorry, the number 1 quarterback on this slate. If you're not playing the tight end based quarterbacks that go along with him, I would like him more if Keenan Allen is active for this game, because that offense is a lot better, right, when they have all of their operators on the field at one time. If Allen is out, I will allow for Austin Eckler to end up in these stacks, but Austin Eckler he's a great play on his own and doesn't need to be tied to Herbert. Joe Burrow had himself a monster day on his return, now gets Atlanta at home, his return to New Orleans, now gets to return home and plays Atlanta, who has given up a lot of red zone trips this year, though they have won a couple of games, unfortunately for us. So if you're an Atlanta fan, it's not personal against you. I just don't like the way that they're playing. It's not friendly for fantasy. It's bad for Kyle Pitts. It's bad for Drake London. And like they keep calling me into the rocks with their siren song of, hey, I'm a unicorn. And then you die, crash and burn on the rocks. One that I want to focus on for the sake of this first look is Dak Prescott. Coming back, I would assume, from injury. He was very active in pregame, threw about 50 passes to his receivers before Sunday night's game against the Eagles. Did not appear to have any issues with velocity or taking snaps. Monitor him during practice throughout the week. I think he is going to be a full go, and if he is a full go, they have taken it as carefully as they can. He gets a fantastic matchup against the Detroit Lions. They are coming off of a bye week, but they have been a fantasy carnival for us to attack pretty much all of the times that they have been on the field this year. Taking a look at the Lions defense, their game log: 29 points, 48 points, 28 points, 27 points, 28 points. The Cowboys have a expected team total this week of 27.5 points. If they scored 27 points, that would tie the lowest output that the Lions defense has allowed this season. Multiple times allowing over 300 passing yards, multiple times allowing like 120 to 235 rushing yards. Like they've been porous. And while the Cowboys do have really good running backs and are splitting sometimes with them, I think that they're going to want to unleash the passing game in this one. And CeeDee Lamb has been a great primary target for us in stacks. I think that this offense, with Dak over Cooper Rush did a fantastic job of filling in, but he is a backup. And when you go to an all-pro caliber, NFL caliber quarterback, Pro Bowl caliber quarterback, it just elevates the other guys that are in that room who are very, very good in CeeDee Lamb, who is an excellent wide receiver, and Michael Gallup, who's running a ton of routes, now fully back from the injury, but has not gone nuts for us yet. When you look at, considering that all of his games have been with Cooper Rush, where they're taking less shots, where they're being way more conservative, but he was still getting enough targets, moving up every week from 3 to 5 to 7. Now we get to go from maybe one of the toughest defenses in the league and another tough defense in the Rams to Detroit, who is like the opposite of a tough defense at this point, in spite of what Coach Campbell wants them to be. He wants them to be a tough defense, but like they just aren't biting enough kneecaps or kicking enough one butt cheek people. I don't even know I can't even fathom what his opening speech was in training camp. The easiest bring back play in the world is Amon-Ra St. Brown, coming off of a bye week, another 2-week span to get over that ankle sprain. He has been fantastic in every game that he was not injured. 12 targets, 9 targets. They should be playing from behind in this game. More positive game scripts for us, which allows us to go get Amon-Ra St. Brown and have a premium, and deep threat for us in our lineups. That's going to leave a few spots for us here. Coming over to running back, this is an extremely deep week at the running back position. Top running backs comes out tomorrow. We focus on the 5 box guys. I've got at least 5 and maybe 7 for you on that video. It's absurd how deep running back is with all the bye weeks this week. If you wanted to pay up at running back, Christian McCaffrey is getting the exact usage that we wanted coming into this year. You remember when we were drafting Christian McCaffrey 1, 2, or 3, and there were an awful lot of replies in all of the videos on the Fantasy Football channel that were telling me that Christian McCaffrey is terrible and he's always injured and I would not draft him before the 3rd round. Well, guess what, guys? He's fine. And he's fine on a really bad offense, averaging 20.7 points with at least 22.8 points the last 3 weeks. If you're wondering about what I'm talking about on the Fantasy Football channel, that's where the recap video lives. That's where all of my fantasy football season-long advice is, with my rankings videos, quarterback, running back, wide receivers, our Rainmakers preview for every week, and the Week 6 video is going to be up by the time you're watching this video. So go to smizzle.tv/ff and subscribe to that channel today. Al Smizzle Fantasy Football. I got 5 videos coming out a week. Don't want you to miss any of them. So definitely go check it out. Can't afford Christian McCaffrey in this lineup. Can't afford Austin Eckler in this lineup. I'm going value at running back, but I did want to hit on these guys for you. I'm not expecting 173 yards. They obviously play on Monday night, so I don't know what the results of that game are yet, but he is on a tremendous pace. Even though they have dialed down his snap counts this year versus last, playing like 60% of the snaps max in any game when he's on the field, he's getting a ton of usage, and he's playing against Seattle, who is a team that we want to target week in and week out. They're playing at home. They are favored. 5 box running back probably this week for sure. Derrick Henry, the big dog, has been rumbling 100-yard games in his last 2, now coming off of a bye week and facing off against Indy, who has been pretty bad, 25 plus points in 3 weeks. You certainly can pay up at running back, at least in one spot. Cash games are going to be interesting because I think people are going to pay up in at least 1 and maybe 2 and then go with one of the value guys. So I was trying to get a little bit different in this one. Saquon Barkley, doesn't matter if they're favored or behind or underdogs. Doesn't matter if they're playing from ahead or from behind. Doesn't matter if he breaks a long run or doesn't. He is doing everything that you need, and he's staying below 7,900. Tons of use inside the 5. There's nobody else that they can use. Good enough usage in the passing game. I would hope that they would get him more, especially with the, I don't want to say injuries, just like the lack of talent that they have in the wide receiver room at this point, to ease the job of Daniel Jones. But like, how can you fault anything that the Giants have done so far this year with as over expectation as they are playing at this point? Leonard Fournette now gets Carolina, coming off of another game where he had 6 targets. That's 17, that's 24, that's 30 targets in the last 4 games. A ridiculous amount of usage. And as long as their games stay close, they are keeping him over 75% of the usage. Fournette is another guy who has a really high floor, obvious high ceiling if the Tampa Bay offensive line can get their acts together. Dialing down to like 6,200 and down. Breece Hall clearly has rested the job, squares off against Denver on a short week, though it is going to be in Denver. This might be a weird spot for Breece Hall. In this game, they are 3.5 point underdogs. I mean, the Jets are going to be underdogs a lot just because that's how the public in Vegas views them at this point, but they are ratcheting things down. Like they are not passing the ball since Zach Wilson came back, and they have turned into a very run-heavy team, focusing on their defense. Big shocker when you have a head coach in Saleh who's basically, that's his profile. He doesn't want to throw the ball all over the place if he doesn't have to. They want to play a defensive ball control sort of game. So Breece Hall gonna get his 20 touches in this spot, but Denver's front 7 is extremely strong. We're gonna have to pick our spots with him. I think he could be underplayed this week, or at least a low percentage candidate this week with how many other really great plays there are. Did want to talk about Ezekiel Elliott. Had a good game against Philadelphia, 6.2 yards per rush in that one, but they were playing from behind most of the time, so he got kind of scripted out of that one last night. Squares off against Detroit here. Not going to use him in this lineup because of the fact that we're going with the guys that we're going with in the passing game. So Ken Walker Jr. took over the job, did extremely well in a game that they played from ahead and won at home. They are now on the road and against the Chargers. They're going to be in more pass game scripts, but they're going to want to keep that Chargers offense off the field. His price only went up to like 5,800. Volume is king, guys. That's really the number one thing. And it's going to be kind of impossible for Seattle to abandon the run when you have Geno Smith as your quarterback. Now, he's had a good season coming off of a bad week 6, but this is a team that's going to have to give Ken Walker 20 touches a game every game. And what we could see is a couple of more targets this week based on game script. So instead of 2-3 targets, he could balloon all the way to like 4 or 5 targets. And at 5,800, that's too tough to ignore. I don't usually like playing in cash games, road underdog running backs. But in this spot in tournaments, I'm totally fine with it just based on the volume involved in that spot. My secondary stack, I'm going to start at tight end. I already talked about the 2 premiums. Kittle gets to go up against Kansas City. We talked about him being a 5 under 5 guy last week. He certainly produced, even though he did not get into the end zone. 16.3 points for him at 5,100. He bumps up to 5,300 in what is now going to be a pace up spot for San Francisco at home, where they are underdogs and should have to throw the ball, just like last week where they were playing from behind against Atlanta. This is another good spot for Kittle. Kyle Pitts, they just don't throw the ball enough. I did want to mention him because he finally caught a touchdown on American soil, so congrats to him. Big salute to Kyle Pitts, but like, he caught a touchdown and then they didn't throw him the ball the rest of the day. I hate it. I hate everything about it. I hate the fact that the Falcons don't throw the ball. I hate the fact that they have 2 really good difference-making large wide receivers who could be massive fantasy producers based on the market share of targets that both him and Pitts and London are getting in that offense, but they only throw it like 12 times a game, and I hate it here. And I guess I'll see you next year, hopefully, when they draft one of the top 10 rookie quarterbacks. They're going to be in the top 10 next year. David Njoku has been really, really solid. 5 targets or more in every game since week 2. Volume is king. We've seen them go to him a lot. He is the second most targeted guy in Cleveland. And with Cooper being the number 1, right? He's the main guy that they're going to go to in their passing game. I think he's had like 10 or more targets in 4 of their last 5 games. Just an absurd run for him. But at the tight end spot, David Njoku's price has come up, but really only for 500, from 37 up to 4,200. A lot of people are going to be on Nick Chubb. I think they're going to play from behind in this game. Vegas agrees, as the Ravens are 6.5 point favorites. More pass attempts only means better fantasy floor for David Njoku. And if he can find his way into the end zone, as everybody is going to be keying on those heavy boxes for Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, going to have somebody over the top for Amari Cooper. David Njoku provides us with a spot here that we can get to. I'm going to just go plug in a cheaper defense like we always do there, 2,500, which leaves us with 5,300 in the flex. Puts us in this range here. Tyler Boyd, Nyheim Hines still hurt. Antonio Gibson, that's a 3-headed monster at running back, not really interested. Curtis Samuel getting a lot of volume, right? But up and down based on that offense. I'd prefer probably a running back, if there was one, that was going to get a lot of usage against Green Bay, kind of like we were targeting Breece Hall last week. George Kittle, I'm not going to play double tight end in a lineup. I don't think that it is necessary. But Kenyon Drake took over the number 1 job in Baltimore, at least last week, as J.K. Dobbins' knee was acting up. It may not be viable come Sunday, but based on when I'm making this lineup, he's somebody that we should discuss, considering that they are at home and favored in a situation where he could get 15 plus touches on a very good offense against the defense that we have to target every single running back against, as Cleveland is just giving up yards in big chunks. So give me Kenyon Drake at 5,100 to round it all out. I got 200 left on the table. Dak Prescott double stack with a bring back of Amon-Ra St. Brown. My secondary is David Njoku and Kenyon Drake. One off with Ken Walker III, and we've got the Commander's D in there to make it all wrapped up nicely. So thank you guys for being here. Look out for another video right there.
He's a legend.